everyone, welcome to the My Slice of Life podcast. I'm Sharon O'Neill and you are fabulous for spending some of your precious time with me this week. And I'm glad you're here this week because I want to talk about 10 truths that every gardener needs to hear. So no waffling, no faffing, let's get right to it because I think as gardeners we can be quite hard on ourselves, and if things go wrong we can blame ourselves. So the first thing that I want to mention is sometimes seeds just don't germinate. Don't assume it's you. It could be a whole host of things. It could be the soil, for instance. I've been seeing in various places online a lot of complaints this year specifically about certain composts that people are using and getting a lot of fungus gnats from them. Other places I've been seeing people are getting a lot more dampening off and a lot more kind of fungal issues with their seedlings that they didn't used to get. So compost is becoming an issue. And speaking of compost, maybe it's just a little too wet, a little too dry, maybe it's getting too much sunlight, maybe it's not getting enough light. Don't forget some seeds don't need to be covered, some want that light to germinate. That can be quite hard to keep track of. And maybe it's just that the seeds are old. When we buy seeds, we are really hoping for the best of the best. And the people selling us these seeds are hoping for the best of the best. But with the best will in the world, sometimes things just go wrong. It's nature. We're dealing with a natural product. And as we know, as gardeners, nature's not perfect. So instead of thinking, oh, I must have done something wrong if not all your seeds came up, bear all these points in mind. Don't assume it's you. There's a lot of things that could go wrong with seeds. You know, I actually think sometimes I'm more amazed when they go right. So that's the first thing I want to say to you. The next thing I want to say to you is, and I really want you to hear this, you know more than you think you do. And I think this is something that we all need to be reminded of, especially as amateur gardeners. And I am very much an amateur. And it's all too easy to assume everybody else knows everything and you know nothing. I've had many a time where I'm thinking, I know nothing. I can't remember when they need to be sown. I can't remember when that's getting harvested. Dates for when things get harvested, not always reliable. We'll come to that in a minute. But you know your garden or your plot or your homestead, whatever it is that you have, you know that space better than anyone. You know the light. You know the cold spots, the usual wind directions that you get, the type of weather you tend to get. And when's your last frost date? When's your first frost date? You'll know this more than anybody. What kind of soil do you have? Are you clay? Are you quite sandy? Do you have the perfect loam? You know these things. Nobody else will know all this about your garden. And the other things that you know is you know what you're good at. You know what you're good at growing. We all have certain things that even without making much of an effort, we can just, I don't know, it's like a magic thing, you know. Some people are fantastic at growing roses. Their gardens are amazing with growing roses. Don't ask them to grow you anything to eat, but they can grow you roses and cut flowers and things. So you know where your strengths lie. But you also know what pests are most likely in your growing space. And when I say that, I'm reminded of the story Charles Dowding gives when he said he first started out with no-dig gardening, and he was reading a book, can't remember, it was some woman he was reading, I can't remember her name, very sorry about that, and she had suggested putting down straw or hay, one of them, everywhere as a mulch, and he did, and everything got eaten by slugs and snails, and he was thinking, that's strange, I don't remember her talking about slugs and snails. So then he went back and was looking through the book, and eventually it dawned on him that she's growing in a warm, very warm, dry climate. He's trying to do the exact same principles in a very damp climate where slugs and snails are more prevalent. You put down straw or hay or something like that, and you've given them the perfect place to hide, thank you very much, while they eat all your seedlings. I've made that mistake as well. So you know what pests you're going to get in your garden. I get slugs and snails. If you're somewhere hot and dry, you probably don't. And that brings me on to the third point that I really want you to take on. All success counts. Don't discount the small wins, whether it's healthy cress or terrific radishes. It doesn't have to be a self-sufficient space all year round to be considered a success. Don't fall into the trap of saying things like, well, that always grows well for me. Nothing is guaranteed in gardening. If we know anything, we know that. So if you can continually, year after year, grow something well, that's most likely a result of your work, not by chance. Whether it's the way you've prepared the soil, whether it's the way you keep it weed-free, whether it's a companion plant that you put down, there's something you do then that makes it work time after time. And I've been guilty of this. I bring back some rhubarb and I think, yeah, but that one always grows well. I've got a rhubarb plant that doesn't grow well. I'm still trying to figure out what's wrong with it. It could just be the position actually, because the one that's growing really well is very shaded. Maybe that's all it is. Maybe I just have to move the other one. But I really shouldn't take the good one for granted. I don't want you to take your wins for granted. All success counts. So whether it's a beetroot, a cabbage, maybe you get some good strawberries this year, it all counts. Please don't think, oh yeah, well, that one always works. It really matters. And yeah, it's something to be proud of. There's something you didn't have to buy. Even if you're a flower grower and you don't grow fruit and veg, but if you can grow those flowers, cut them, bring them in, give them to people, whatever it is you do, that success counts. Now the next one I want to mention is important for quite a few reasons. And I want you to look for inspiration, not comparison. When you're scrolling online or whatever it is you look at, YouTube videos, shorts, whatever online stuff, and I'm including places like Pinterest as well. Pinterest can be great for finding things, but it can also be a real trap for making you feel like you're not good enough, so be careful. Look for what ideas you can incorporate into your own growing space. If you're out and about locally and you're seeing these gorgeous gardens dotted about here and there, look at the gardens and see, what inspiration can I take from that garden? What is it they do that I could put into mine? Or what could I maybe take a principle of and give it a tweak and then use that part? So, but, there might be something that you want to use, but here is the big but. If you find that all you're doing is negative comparison, I'll never get my garden like that. My flowers don't grow that well. That kind of thing, go and do something else. Switch it off, walk away, whatever it is you need to do, do something else. Because we really need to be careful of this negative trap that's all too easy to fall into. I watch YouTubers and I can easily find myself thinking, my stuff's not growing that quickly. I don't get results like that. No, there's reasons we're different. But at the same time, I have to remind myself, that's a good idea. I might try that next year. Take a note of it. That's what we should be doing. We're looking for inspiration, not comparison. The fifth point that I want to bring up is one rule does not fit all. Think of seed packet instructions as a guideline. When they're telling us all sow this in February and it will be ready by August, September, that will not work for everybody. Your location makes a huge difference, and it took me quite a long time to figure out what my difference is. Now, I've mentioned him a few times. One of the YouTubers that I watch, I think pretty much all their videos, is Charles Dowding, and I know when he's doing something in the first 6 months of the year, I'm 3 to 4 weeks behind him. And I need to be aware of that because, again, I don't want to be thinking, well, how come my beetroot aren't ready to harvest yet? Because I'm about a month behind them. They're growing, they're just not ready yet. So what's right for you might not be right for me. And I have quite a short growing season, so people who are growing things all year round, I might not be able to do that. So one rule does not fit all our gardens, does not fit all our growing spaces. Maybe you can grow fantastic oranges. Well done you. I haven't got a chance of getting an orange tree established in a windy coastal Scottish garden. But I get quite good cabbages. My onions are good. My potatoes are good. I know there's some places they can't do that. So one rule will not fit all. And please bear that in mind if you're not getting the results that you think you should be getting, or that the seed packet or somebody you're following tells you you should be getting. Bear that in mind. Which brings me to number 6, because this is important and I really want you to bear this in mind as well, and that's that some seasons are just better than others. Or you could turn that round and say some seasons are worse than others, but I am an eternal optimist, so I'm going to say some seasons are better than others. Now here, we always expect at least one thing to be a disaster. There's always something that doesn't grow. One year my brassicas were awful. Another year I had terrible time with carrots for some reason. Couldn't figure out what was going wrong. Well, I can't always figure out what was going wrong. I know the brassica season, it was because I tried a different mulch. And I basically just made a lovely huge habitat for slugs and snails. That was my fault. But I wanted to try a mulch. It didn't work. But the other things to bear in mind that can make the season very different from even just the year before is the amount of rainfall you get, or sunshine levels, the temperatures you're getting every day, the wind. And I say that we've just had here in the UK a very, very hot, dry start to the season, and it was quite, even here we had a few days where it was hot. Now, and I'm recording this beginning of June, today and the last week we've had torrential downpours. It's really cold, it's very windy today. I've planted out 2 big courgette plants which I'm really hoping do well, but I don't know if they'll survive this. Whereas in the past I've had a milder start to my spring and I've had great courgettes. So every season is different. And every year will perform slightly better or maybe slightly worse. So again, bear that in mind. And with all these environmental things that happen that are not within our control, but they bring different pests, don't they? And another thing that you cannot control if you buy it is the quality of the compost. If you make your own and you can make enough, which we all struggle with, that's another thing we struggle with, you can't control the quality of compost. And like I was saying, this year I've been hearing a lot of people talk about the quality of compost. The stuff I usually buy, I can't find it here locally this year. Just can't get it. So the stuff I've been getting has been horrendous. Chunks of wood, chunks of what looks like putty in it. What the hell is that in my compost? I've no idea. And the other thing that doesn't stay the same every year is how much time you have available. Maybe last year you had lots of time, but this year you're babysitting for your daughter, or, maybe you've got a part-time job, or maybe you've got a new hobby, maybe you've had an operation and you can't get to the garden. All these things will make a difference. It's never the same every year, and I think that's one of the positives about gardening. I think that's one of the things we actually like about it. It's always a challenge. It's never the same. You can't really count on anything working the way you want it to. So we're constantly having to be adaptable, having to think on our feet, having to come up with solutions. Isn't that some of the reasons why we love doing this? I think it is. Which brings me nicely onto the 7th truth that I wanted to mention today, and that is that gardeners are always learning, or at least should be. Nobody, and I mean nobody, knows it all. But luckily, most gardeners are happy to share the information they do know. And I've found that whether it's online or in person, if I haven't known something and I've asked the person, they're very happy to share information. And if I'm fortunate enough to be in a position where I know something and the other person doesn't, yes, of course I'll tell you. And again, that's a trap I fall into quite often, where I convince myself I don't know as much as anybody else. Even people who are just starting out. And that's ridiculous. I've been gardening for 13 years minimum on that plot. We've had an allotment plot for 13 years this year. Of course I know things, but I'm still learning. People who I watch who've been gardening 40 years plus, still learning. Some people are great at growing veg, not so good at fruit. They have to learn more about that. Most of us are still learning about pruning. For some reason, that's just like a big, big challenge, a hurdle that many of us don't even want to attempt to jump. So we're always learning, which means you shouldn't get upset because you didn't know something and made a mistake. You didn't know, but now you do. And now you won't make that mistake again. If you're like me, you might make that mistake a couple of times until you learn it, because you only do it once a year. That can be tricky because a lot of things that I'm doing on the allotment, it only happens once a year. I sow carrots maybe a couple of times a year, but it's not an all year thing. So sometimes I've made a mistake and I've done something and I went, oh no, I did that last time, especially when it comes to like pruning trees. When is the right time? And I'm thinking, oh no, I should do that after they've flowered. Lesson learned. We're always learning. And the 8th truth that I want to mention today kind of ties in with that in a way as well, and that's to remember that not all advice is good advice. And I know I've just said that we're very happy to share information, and we are. Information is one thing I find. Advice can be something else, quite often given without being asked for. I mean, I'm a no-dig gardener, and there's still loads and loads of people advising digging over the whole plot every winter. As somebody with a bad back, there's no way I'm going to do that. That was another one of the reasons why I wanted to try no-dig. And we're getting to the point now where a lot of people are recommending no-dig or no-till gardening, and it feels to me like just as many are recommending the traditional dig your garden, do the double digging, you have a trench and you're filling it in and you go on that. Oh, that to me just sounds horrific now. But I find gardening has trends, just like in fashion, and things that they did in the 80s might seem weird to us now, and I think that happens a lot. So advice that people used to be given, now when you hear it, for example, daffodils, we all used to be told, once they've gone over, bend over the tops or tie the tops, whereas now we're told, no, leave them so that they can put the energy back into the bulbs for next year. So that advice has changed, and that's not the only thing that's changed. Think about onions. It used to be advised to always bend over the top of your onions, and now we're told leave them to do that all on their own. So it changes. Like we used to always be told, use weed killer. That's the only way to deal with weeds, use weed killer. And now we're being encouraged, go organic. Use salt and vinegar. I use salt and vinegar. I did know somebody who used to bleach their weeds in the path. When it would come through the paving stones, they used to pour bleach all over it. I wouldn't recommend that one, but I do use salt and vinegar quite a lot. So not all advice is good advice. And that brings me on to my 9th truth that I want to bring to you today, which is it's good to get out of your comfort zone. Try new veg or new flowers or get a new fruit bush, whatever it is. Try and experiment with different varieties. If you always grow moneymaker tomatoes, if you've never tried any others, try a tumbling tom, or what's the one I get? Red Robin. I love my wee Red Robin, little small cherry tomatoes. They're fantastic. If you only ever stick to the one variety, I was going to say I urge you. No, I dare you. I dare you. Try another variety. It's a bit late, I get it, for sowing some of them this year, but there's still room for some things, or for planning for next year. Push yourself out your comfort zone. Don't always go for the same things year in, year out. Who knows what you'll discover? Maybe there's a variety out there which is going to become your firm favourite. You don't always have to grow just that one. But I do think it's worth giving things a go that we don't normally do. I have got asparagus growing for the very first time. I sowed it... When did I sow them? I'm trying to think, was it last year? I think it was the end of last year, and I left them in their little tubs. I planted them in the ground this year. I've never grown asparagus. I've always wanted it because I loved the look of it. So I'm trying it. There's a couple of other things I'd like to try, but I haven't quite got them yet. And if it doesn't work, what's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work. Big deal. Or you don't like the taste. Big deal. For the price of a packet of seeds, it's worth the chance, what do you think? Which does actually bring me very nicely to my 10th truth that I really want to bring home today. In case you've ever asked that question, is it worth it? Is it worth the back pain? Is it worth my hours? Is it worth the time? Is it worth the trouble? Yes. Yes, it is. It is worth all of those things and more. I mean, I could list things like you're getting outside, you're getting fresh air. We've heard all these things before. You're getting the fresh fruit, the veg, the cut flowers. You're being rewarded for your efforts. If you listen to 2 episodes back, it's just called number 1, This Is Why I Garden. If you don't know, I've had a slight podcast relaunch kind of thing, so it's a little different. But that's what I wanted to talk about. And I talk about my reasons and what I get out of gardening. So if you are struggling to think, well, what do I get out of this? Go and listen to that episode, because there are so many reasons to garden, so many things you get out of it, so many rewards for your efforts. And I cannot think of a better skill in life to have. Maybe you can. Okay, I would like to be better at woodwork and DIY, but they're not going to keep me fed, are they? They're not going to keep my family fed. They're not going to provide us with organic food. Being able to make a bookshelf and put it up. That's not going to save my life. And I'm not saying gardening will save your life, but my God, it makes it better, doesn't it? Like I said before, our son said I'm obsessed with it. Yeah, I think I'll agree with that. And so that brings us to the end of this week's episode. Those were the 10 truths that I really want every gardener to hear. I think it's so easy to fall down a spiral of negativity and blame ourselves when things go wrong. And I just wanted to highlight there are so many other things involved, so many other variables, but also so many positives associated with what we do, and we have to take every win, no matter how small it may seem, no matter how silly it might seem to others. It's important to us, and I think as gardeners we should be encouraging ourselves and each other. With that, I will say thank you very much for your time this week. Please don't forget to check out the links below. There's a lot of work there. There is also the link for budgetseeds.co.uk. If you're in the UK and are needing some new seeds, you'll get 10% off with my code SO'Neill10. The link is there. It will take you straight there. There are also links to the blog, my YouTube channel, which is a gardening channel mainly. I think you'll enjoy that. And the Discord is there. If you would like to say thank you for your efforts, Sharon, there is a Buy Me a Coffee page and also the new Patreon page where when I get a few patrons, we're going to be doing a monthly giveaway. So get into that. It's only £4 a month. Would love to see you there. And we'll start these giveaways. I'm really looking forward to that. I'll be back next week with a topic which I think a lot of you are going to find very useful for this time of year. If you're worried you have a bad memory and you'll forget to come back, you can subscribe and then you'll get a little reminder. You will not want to miss it. So until then, you take care of yourself.